This is 5 on your side at 6. Focused on you.
A live look at Fiserv Forum Arena in Milwaukee, where the Republican National Convention is underway. Tonight, 5 on your side is there as the GOP officially nominates Donald Trump for president. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ann Allred.
And I'm Mike Bush. A lot has happened on this first day, including Donald Trump's pick for vice president, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, and it comes just 2 days after the attempted assassination of Mr. Trump in Pennsylvania. We have team coverage tonight of the convention and the fallout from this weekend shooting. Let's start in Milwaukee, where 5 on your side's Mark Maxwell is talking with local delegates. Mark.
Yeah, Mike and Ann, good evening. Let's start by giving you just a look at where we are. We're set up just outside the Fiserv Forum in downtown Milwaukee, where all the action will take place this week. A strong security perimeter surrounds the entire heart of downtown here, and delegates to the Republican National Convention are just now returning to the floor after a brief break after nominating Donald Trump to officially run for president. And they got to meet his running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, a former critic of Trump, will run alongside him. The announcement on the floor moments ago and the nomination vote on this first night, all of those things adding even more political intrigue to Donald Trump's recent turn of events. Remember, he was due to face sentencing on his felony conviction just 4 days ago initially. Then the Supreme Court granted broad immunity to former presidents. That sentencing then got delayed. Then today, a Florida judge threw out his felony indictments in a classified documents case. And then all of that after an assassin's bullet came within an inch of ending his life just 48 hours ago. Republicans tell me they feel a sense of divine providence. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft running for governor in Missouri. We caught up with him as he left the Fiserv Forum moments ago, just as the party had nominated Trump for president.
I think it was an act of God, and I think it saved our country from being torn asunder, and I appreciate that. We have our debates at the ballot box, not through the muzzle of a loaded rifle.
And Ashcroft cheered Trump's pick of Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, the author turned Ohio senator who wrote so eloquently about how forsaken rural America has become. One voice we will not hear from tonight, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, who was scheduled to be here as a surrogate for the Biden campaign, but in the aftermath of that assassination attempt, the Biden campaign has pressed pause on its political attack mode, putting that off for now. But we're just live outside the Fiserv Forum here. Mark Maxwell, 5 on your side.
And Mark, you mentioned how Jay Ashcroft responded to J.D. Vance and that pick for vice president. What about the rest of the delegation from Missouri and Illinois?
Well, we're just gathering some of that news now. In fact, we did hear briefly from a delegate from Ohio who is standing by to tell us more about exactly who he is. But already some of the implications seem to be having a ripple effect in the labor union and trade union movement. The Teamsters Union is now reportedly reconsidering whether they will get into this presidential race at all. Vance and his alignment with the working class is something that could be a hurdle for the Biden campaign to overcome. Biden calling himself the greatest union president ever, but now Vance jumping into this race, steering the Republican Party a bit away from corporate interest and where it has been for so long. So something to watch in the week as it unfolds and develops here.
Which, of course, is part of the strategy why he was picked. Mark, thanks very much.
Jay Ashcroft isn't the only GOP candidate for Missouri governor who is a delegate at the Republican National Convention. Bill Eigel is also there, and before flying to Milwaukee, he stopped in St. Charles to host a prayer rally. Our Justina Cornell was there, and she's in studio. Justina.
And that rally was at the Soda Museum on Main Street, and it was packed on both floors. Now, in that room, many pray to God, thanking the Lord for saving Donald Trump.
A packed room and prayers.
We thank you for your hand of protection over President Trump.
Followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
With liberty and justice for all.
This moment spearheaded by Senator Bill Eigel.
Today is about acknowledging just how awesome the good Lord was in keeping Donald J. Trump with us, because we came within inches of having just a horrific tragedy in this country.
Amen.
The Republican running for governor held a prayer rally Monday, following an assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. He addressed the crowd before heading to the Republican National Convention.
We're not going to be afraid of that. We're going to be bold about the Missouri we're talking about.
Following Saturday's shooting, President Joe Biden's campaign pulled down their TV ads. Eigel's political ads are still rolling, and some showing using him a flamethrower and a gun. I asked Eigel if he plans to keep or remove the ads. He says the ads will continue to run.
The feedback I'm getting from the Republicans I'm talking to is they love the message that I have about protecting our communities. Part of the reason that we're going to be able to protect ourselves, protect our communities is precisely through those things that I'm talking about.
5 on Your Side's political analyst Anita Mannion weighs in.
I suspect that Eigel and others will probably leave those up. They want to continue to paint themselves as strong proponents of the Second Amendment and as fighters. And, Trump, in that very iconic picture after the assassination attempt, had his fist up and instructed his followers to fight. And I think that message of fighting back will continue throughout this campaign.
Now, we've also reached out to the other 2 Republican candidates running for governor. Jay Ashcroft said he was at an event on Saturday when he stopped it to gather in prayer for Trump and the nation. And Mike Kehoe said it's more important now than ever to come together as Americans.
We'll continue to follow all of the developments in the Donald Trump assassination attempt on air and on KSTK.com, the 5 on Your Side app, and on our streaming channel, 5+. Look for live reports from Mark Maxwell all week at the Republican National Convention.
A South Carolina man is accused of killing a woman in University City and a doctor in Brentwood entered a plea in court today. Prosecutors say Tyler Terry shot and killed Barbara Goodkin and Sergei Zakharev in 2021 during a multi-state crime spree. Megan Kernan was in the courtroom this afternoon. She joined us now in the newsroom with the latest. Megan.
Well, Mike, it was a very emotional day as family members of the victims were in the courtroom today. The now 29-year-old Tyler Terry will spend life in prison after pleading guilty for killing 2 people over 3 years ago. It was May 15th, 2021, when Tyler Terry went on the run with his girlfriend, Adrienne Simpson. Prosecutors say Terry killed 71-year-old Barbara Goodkin and 58-year-old Dr. Sergei Zakharev in St. Louis County. Zakharev was shot to death and robbed in Brentwood while waiting for an Uber. Goodkin was killed while riding inside her SUV in University City, along with her husband Stanley, who was also shot in the chest. His cell phone saved his life. After a week-long manhunt, Terry was eventually found in South Carolina, accused of committing 2 more murders in that state and 1 in Tennessee. Terry is already serving a life sentence in South Carolina. Today in St. Louis County, he pleaded guilty to the murders here. St. Louis prosecuting attorney Wesley Bell agreed to waive the death penalty for him in exchange for guilty pleas.
As Mr. Zakharev said, we're just happy that we can help him close that chapter, or as he said, burn the file so that he can move on with his life and his family. We wish we could bring his loved one back to him, their loved ones back to him, but obviously we can't do that, but we can do everything we can to bring justice to these families.
The widower, Stanley Goodkin, delivered a victim impact statement in court saying, "You should be sentenced to a burning, torturous death." Zakharev's brother, Alex Zakharev, also gave a statement to Terry, saying, "You're going to die in prison your whole life to die. Be proud of yourself." Terry smiled the entire time as both victims gave their statements and actually laughed as they escorted from the courtroom. Police said it's unclear why Terry and his alleged accomplice, Adrienne Simpson, were in St. Louis County, as they have no known connections to the area or the victims. Wesley Bell says they are starting the process of bringing Adrienne Simpson to St. Louis County to face charges and sentencing. Bell expects the same outcome that happened today with Terry.
Thank you, Megan. Let's get to a weather impact alert. It is very hot outside. We're talking dangerous heat. There is some relief on the way. Let's get to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell.
And for many of us, that relief will come as we work our way through the evening hours and overnight. Maybe some rumbles of thunder, but it's not here yet. And the heat index values still above 100, in some cases still above 105 degrees, especially as you get in and around not only the urban core, but in the rural areas where you have lots of cornfields. That corn fairly tall and mature now, so it's really spewing off the moisture. Until 8 o'clock, that heat advisory continues for St. Louis. We all know heat affects anybody that doesn't have adequate cooling, and you have to stay hydrated during this kind of scenario and try to use that air conditioning. Here's the thing for tomorrow. Clouds will suppress our heat indices around St. Louis, so the highest heat index values will be found to the south. So for tomorrow, the metro area points north, no heat advisory. It's going to be for our southern counties tomorrow, and that transition potentially bringing us some showers and storms. Right now they're up in Iowa. They're pretty intense up there. They'll try to drop southeast. Don't think we're going to have severe weather here, but we may have some breezes later tonight that bring in some cooler air towards daybreak. We'll see you in a few minutes and we'll time that out, Mike.
Coming up, first responders and the National Guard swarm Busch Stadium, how this was no emergency.